Hey everyone, you're with Tom from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm joined as usual by my good friend Riz from Carloop. Hello Riz, how are you?
Hey Tom, going well? It's Australia Day. It's all happening.
Yes, yes indeed. Hopefully everyone's having some downtime today, enjoying the sunshine if you've got some. But more importantly, I guess from our point of view, is that Tesla had their Q4 earnings call this morning, our time in Australia, and we've got a great article written by, of course, Riz himself for the Driven. And Riz's takeaway in the headline says Tesla sees most competition from China as it smashes legacy rivals with record profits.
Yeah, that's a great call they had this morning with the Tesla leadership team and investors. They're asking questions around how the business is going, and yeah, they've had a huge year. 2022 was obviously their biggest year. Launched, you know, two new factories. They're starting to ramp up now, which is great, and they're starting to realize some of those benefits by producing locally. Let's say in Germany, they're producing cars there now and realizing revenue from there as well. So the shipping costs get taken out and it's reflected in their very substantial profits, which is good to see.
Yeah, we'll certainly get into the numbers. And look, that's what the earnings call is about, is to show investors the bottom line. But what I personally like seeing and hearing from Elon is the way, or his mood rather, and the way the leadership team talks about the different issues that crop up with each quarter. And we'll get into the competition from a distant second very shortly. But let's get into the numbers first. And Riz, I mean, look, it says here in your article, average profit of 25.7% for every EV sold. That's incredible, really, in this day and age.
Yeah, and automotive industry, as most people can appreciate, takes a lot of raw materials to convert them into, vehicles at the end of the production line as such, and then deliver them through distribution channels and shipping and all of those other things. And particularly for electric vehicles with batteries make such a big component of the overall cost. For Tesla to achieve that, it's no other automotive company can even get close to that. Whether they're selling high-end premium vehicles like Lucid, or if it's traditional automakers like Ford and GM that are giving EVs a go, but I think they're not really disclosing how much money they're actually making on EVs. Where Tesla is pretty transparent with that, and we saw that in the earnings call this morning.
Yeah, that's right. That's why the earnings call is so popular because Elon Musk is very, very transparent with his numbers. Great year for Tesla, $81 billion, sold in electric cars, battery, solar panels, and then doubling of net income to 12.6 billion. Yeah, that's pretty good for the calendar year. And yeah, so it looks like, you know, Tesla, Elon Musk, and the leadership team were talking about factors that they can't control, like obviously,
Mhm.
other force majeure like pandemics, global supply chain issues, but they really are trying to hone in on issues they can control, such as manufacturing efficiency. And that's one of the take home messages I got from the earnings call.
Yeah, and also sort of focusing on, like as you say, Tom, the key advantage that they have where they're utilizing technology, um, as well as manufacturing methods. If they haven't been created before, they they work on innovating and doing things that are not traditionally done in a particular way in the manufacturing world. So they're coming up with some real innovative solutions as part of that, and that's also helping with cost reduction and some of the things we saw to kick things off in 2023 around reducing prices first in Australia and a couple of other markets, and then US going all in, and slashing them pretty significantly. It can only be done if they have their manufacturing costs under control and they're not bleeding money there. So what they're trying to do, and what was sort of highlighted in the call, is pass on some of those savings back to the customers. Um, and their overall goal seems to be getting more EVs on the roads. And as soon as you lower prices, you open to a huge set of consumers that would have previously thought Teslas were unaffordable. So it's great to see that level of transparency and that focus on reducing things that they can control, and manufacturing costs is one of them.
Yeah, look, Tesla's known for its agility, and that translates down to pricing as well. Economics breaking it down, it's supply demand, with increasing costs and increasing cost of living. Elon Musk mentioned that as well. It's still very price sensitive buying a vehicle. For those who can afford, it's not a big deal, but a lot of people in this world are very sensitive to the price of vehicles. So reducing the price increases demand. And he sort of mentioned that we will get into a deflationary period eventually. So they are looking into the future as always, which is great. Let's move
Mhm.
into the competition now. Obviously, we talked about the headline earlier, which is China. That is, as Elon Musk said, potential distant second as a competitor to Tesla.
And that's what, I guess one of the investors asked the question around where do they see the competitive landscape and where does Tesla sit in it? And Elon was trying to be fairly transparent and saying they look around in the US market and they see no one, no car companies are doing what they're doing. For GM, it's sort of a bit of a eye-opening sort of statement. Um, and then at the same time they're saying, well, internally they can't find anything else in the US, so they have to look outside of that, and Europe doesn't seem to be the place. So then they're looking at the Chinese market and they're saying, as that quote says, they're the most competitive in the world. That is our experience, and the Chinese market is the most competitive. They're the hardest and the smartest working people. um, and they're seeing that with the Tesla China team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Elon did say Tesla China is still number one in his opinion, but a lot of competition coming out of China. He's saying a distant second is probably some company out of China, most likely, second to Tesla. Whether that be BYD in terms of numbers, whether a company like I think XPeng is
Mhm.
doing self driving as well. Uh, is it
Yeah,
XPeng or Neo,
yeah,
Riz? Yeah.
Xpeng Neo. I think all of them are Xpeng's trying a lot of
Mm.
cool sort of self-driving stuff, and Neo's got their own suite of ADAS systems as well. What I think is um, like it's I think they're looking like Elon and the team are looking more distant into sort of 3 to 5 years time, and what they're seeing is the kind of collaborations that can happen and only happen in China, where the automakers are quite, can rely on some of the technology companies such as Tencent and others that have different technologies, computer vision and other AI enabled real world AI technologies, which is what Tesla's key strengths are. I think the Chinese companies can work together on creating systems that can emulate or get close to what Tesla offers all in house if they work sort of together. And
Mm.
there's no reason why BYD, Neo, and Xpeng can't work on developing those technologies internally themselves as well. So yeah, it's exciting to see that even like previous comments out of China from Tesla's leadership team, they're saying they don't really take BYD as a competitor as such today. They the real competitors are the ICE vehicle manufacturers or petrol and diesel car makers. Globally, they're the real competitors because trying to convert everyday consumers who'd normally buy a petrol or diesel car and getting them into an electric vehicle, that's sort of the main mission that Tesla's got and a lot of the electric vehicle makers in China as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, overall the EV market is still very small, and you're right. The ICE market is still the number one competitor. But what's really interesting is that we've got Chinese brands like the BYD brand is starting to build their cars, well, wanting to build cars in Europe in a flip of what's been happening, right? Instead of European brands building in China, which they're still doing, but now we're looking at Chinese brands taking it offshore, which is fascinating in my opinion.
Well, the brand itself will not stop at only building Chinese consumers' dreams. They'll head to Europe and build everyone's dreams there as well. So I think that's where they're sort of heading in terms of, the to open up new factories, localized manufacturing, being able to deliver the cars to customers on the continent of Europe efficiently. They've seen Tesla do it, and now they're obviously finding avenues to try and do it themselves. Neo's had a pretty successful launch in the second half of last year, with many more models to come to Europe, where BYD's taken more of a different approach, where they are landing into a European market with those vehicles, but at the same time trying to find ways where they can set up manufacturing operation so it's better in the long term for European customers to be getting European made BYD products.
Yeah, look, and whether you like it or not, China is the future for at least for EV manufacturing. I mean, you hit the nail on the head here, Riz, when you said noted every single Tesla sold in Australia last year was made in China from the
Mm,
Shanghai Gigafactory, and then you add into the mix the number two and number three selling cars, which is Polestar and BYD,
mhm,
made in China, both vehicles. So pretty much number one, two, and three selling cars for EVs in Australia, all made in China. So
mm.
I think the consumers will know, you know, there might be some pushback, but at the end of the day, the bottom dollar wins. Wins out in numbers, I think.
And that's what we've got to sort of see now, that if that's what the powerhouse is when it comes to manufacturing, um, then that's, I guess, the Australian consumers are sort of buying those vehicles as it is, and hence that makes up such a large number um, of the total EVs sold in Australia. So it's good to see that, Tesla's China team also get recognized for the good work that they're doing. And it's looking like a pretty exciting year, 2023, Tom, for
Mm.
Tesla.
Yeah, that's right. I might just run through some of the summary here for the rest of your article. So, yes, hardware 4 coming to Cybertruck. I think Elon was saying that, yeah, they'll start producing one or two, or at least fine tuning the Cybertruck, but really 2024 is the ramp up. As we know, it takes some time to get things going, as we saw with Model 3 in the last decade or so. What else did he say? So yeah, that's more, and obviously people try to tease out of him more products and enhancements, but he made a good point in that I'm sure they could release more models, but they're really just diluting the pool of lithium. Really, that really should
Mm.
just be focusing on one or two really key products to try and not disappoint people and try and get good products out there.
Yeah, and that if the key is around this, they're constrained by battery cells.
Mm,
They can't produce enough. Yesterday's announcement of them investing in their Nevada battery factory, huge investment, 5 billion Australian dollars over the next couple of years to expand that to basically triple its current battery production rate. There's not enough cells to go around. And what they're saying is, the question was around, hey, what happens if have you thought about other sort of commercial vehicles? Because in the US, with the new incentives, Tesla could be eligible for a lot of credits from the government, aka sort of adding to their bottom line. But as Elon sort of said, it's they have other products that they can't talk about at the moment, but if you look at the commercial segment, they'll need cells. So you're basically taking away cells that would normally go in Model 3, Model Y, or potentially a more affordable EV that most people can afford in the Western world. That is what their focus is at the moment, and not so much, delivery vans and other things that you're just taking battery cells out of this conventional cars that are already selling so well.
yeah, and one more point I want to say too before we wrap up is I think there was Elon pretty much said we're not able to, or at least it's not economically feasible to upgrade hardware 3 to hardware 4
Mm.
for existing vehicles. He was saying that hardware 3 can pretty much do everything you need to do to keep humans safe on the road. So looks like they're heading towards new production rather than retrofitting previous cars.
And very good point there as well, Tom, because I think that's what the exciting part is with the 1st of March, Tesla holding an Investors Day, which would showcase the new platform, um, which, it would include hardware 4.0 and more details on that, which vehicles it would go in, when is the production started. We know that Cybertruck will have it. When is the Model 3, the Model Ys, the most popular vehicles? Then some of the luxury ones like Model S and Model X, when are they supposed to get hardware for? And then is there a roadmap into a more affordable electric vehicle, call it a Model 2,
Mm.
so whether it's a hatchback or whatever size or shape it comes in, what would that have? Would that continue and have hardware 4 capabilities as well? So yeah, very exciting to see more updates on the hardware, upgrades that are coming up, but everyone else's vehicles should be able to do the full self-driving capabilities that Tesla's previously spoken about, and they seem to be working quite well according to this call, where they've got 400,000 um, users for full self-driving for city driving at the moment, and that's only going to ramp up significantly this year.
Yeah, that's right. It's very exciting. They've got so many data points now for users in North America. So, look, it's going to be a very exciting year for not just Tesla, but just electric vehicles in general. I think 2023. I'm keen, Riz. I'm sure you are too, to see what unfolds. And look, once again, thank you for writing such a detailed summary of the earnings call for quarter 4. So I'll leave this link to Riz's article from The Driven in the video description as always.
Thanks, Tom. It's it's going to be quite exciting to see what happens from electric vehicle uptake in general, and obviously Tesla leading the way, and hopefully their vehicles will be accessible for more people before we close this year off.
Indeed. Thanks, Riz, as always, for your time, and I'll
Thanks,
catch you
Tom.
next time.
See you then.
Thanks, everyone. Take care, and as always, happy charging.